Matheus Nunes to Darwin Nunes. I mean, Owen, come on. Like, it just makes sense that that's cut and dry. The logic is as simple as their names are similar, right?
Of course, because he's like a half brother to him, isn't he? Because his name's half similar.
Yeah.
So it means that he's got connections with the club now. It's going to happen. You heard it here first. Yeah, look, I can't see transfer happening there. Maybe in the future, although the situation with Jude Bellingham, maybe if we don't get Jude Bellingham, then Matheus Nunes could potentially come to Anfield. But look, if we get Jude Bellingham next summer, are we going to go and splash out money on Nunes as well? So maybe 2024 might be when we might see that. I can't see it happening in the reigning transfer window because literally every reliable source to the club has said Liverpool done in this transfer window, and there's nothing said to prove that otherwise. So yeah, unfortunately, I don't think we'll be seeing any midfielder, yet alone Nunes.
Look at a Debbie Downer to kick off the stream with Owen. We're talking about like transfers, get you hyped up about some new signings, and then Owen's like, no, he poo-poos it. Anthony, let's actually look at the rumors that have come out, about an hour and a half ago. Tweet on the LFC Transfer Room page if you want to go read that on Twitter. From Correo de Mania, which is I also just butchered the last word in that name, just completely. I've pronounced it before because we've signed a lot of Portuguese players, but it was players in the Portuguese league. Neither of them are Portuguese. This will be our first Portuguese player from the Portuguese league. This has been a terrible read of this source. All right, so what is it? Liverpool were preparing a bid for 23-year-old midfielder Matheus Nunes from Sporting Lisbon after the injury to Thiago. He recently rejected a move to Wolves because he's looking to play in the Champions League, and Wolves clearly were interested in him because he's Portuguese, which is like the extent of their search. They just kind of look Portuguese, pulse, plays the sport, get him in. So, Anthony, I haven't watched much of Nunes, but Pep Guardiola did say after they played them in the Champions League that he's one of the best players in the world. So that's the stamp of approval you need to be behind the signing, right, Anthony?
I guess so, but I think managers always have to say positive things about players. Like you're never going to hear him say, "Oh, he's one of the worst midfielders in the world." But he's not exactly passing the FPRF test. I don't know if we're all sort of familiar with that, but the fact we're linked with him so heavily, and like you said, the sources come out saying we've bidded for him or looking to bid for him. It's I guess we should be a bit optimistic for a transfer. I was after the Fulham game when Thiago got injured. I was thinking maybe this is going to sort of push us to look for another player, but I don't know. It's a bit 50-50 with this club. You never know. Like tomorrow we could announce that we signed bloody Gundogan, and I don't think anyone would be shocked. Like anything can happen with Liverpool, but I think he'll be decent. But I've not watched too much of him, like you said. But it'll be nice taking the three best players from the Portuguese leagues. Obviously Diaz, Nunes, and Nunes again. But yeah, I don't know too much about him except he's young and he's a midfielder.
Louis, Anthony made an interesting point there about the Thiago injury. Could that push you to make a signing? It's a 6-week injury. So when Nunes, any signings bedded in, it's about 6 weeks. Maybe it would take them to get comfortable, acclimated with the club, maybe even longer than that. And by then, fingers crossed, Thiago is back. So could that injury actually push us to sign somebody for you, Louis?
Well, for a lot of people, the Thiago injury, I mean, they already wanted a midfielder, and this Thiago injury is like, oh, this is the concrete proof that we need one. I mean, I agree with that as well, I must say. But Jurgen Klopp's been, when you look back at what he said, he's actually pretty consistent. And if he is continuously consistent, he probably won't sign a midfielder. He said, at the moment, we're fine. We've got enough. So he's talking about quantity, not necessarily quality. And he said, unless there's a serious injury or someone says they want to leave, there will be nothing coming in. Obviously, once the Thiago injury happened, he said, basically, look, I know what all you guys are thinking and saying. In my mind, nothing's changed. And if it is a 6-week injury, I imagine for him that he won't class that as a serious injury. So he'll stick with what he's been saying, and he probably won't sign one. And I think almost the most alarming thing is, if you are in that headspace where you think we definitely need to sign someone now, is that it's been 4 days since that game, and it is like dead out on the internet. There is nothing. Like, all summer there was something linking us to somebody. Bellingham was this close. Tchouaméni was obviously this close till Real Madrid got involved. All these other midfielders, Sangar, like we were looking at bidding for Sangar at one point, but it's tumbleweeds at the moment. There's nothing going on. So if that's what you're hoping for, I would expect to be ready to be disappointed. Unless something radically changes, and I sound like Fabrizio Romano just saying sweet nothings there. I don't think anything's going to change on that one.
It is dead. Like, we had this news come about an hour ago, and I thought the world was collapsing because we had actual updated transfer news about Matheus Nunes from a decent source. I'm not saying it's going to happen from this source, but this was the source that also broke Darwin, if I'm not mistaken. So like, clutching at straws. I'm going to get the temperature of the room. Owen, do we need a midfielder signing? I know you said you don't think we're going to. Do you think we need one, though?
When you assess it all, you see that we've got quality all over the pitch in every position, okay? You look at our midfield, you've got decent players like Jordan Henderson, Fabinho, Thiago, even though he's injured. You've got Curtis Jones, Harvey Elliott. You can do a job. You've got quality all round, okay?
You're missing a name. You're missing a name there, Owen. You're missing a name.
I purposely left him out. But yeah, look, on the whole, when you take into account the quantity and the quality, we still do need a midfielder. Yeah, I do believe that. And yeah, you mentioned, or you're about to mention Navigator there. And I just don't think the club can trust him at the minute. He's injured or unavailable very often, or I know the last season kind of a bit of an anomaly, to be fair, but in the past, you can't trust him. And Champions League final, you saw that, and the sources at Anfield, senior figures, you could see were very, very disappointed with how Navigator kind of came on in that game, and a move could have been on the cards over the summer. Liverpool definitely weren't opposed to moving him on, so I think that tells you everything that you need to know about Navigator and how the club just can't rely on him, and Klopp needs a player that he can trust and go to in the big moments.
Well, I think it's an interesting thing, and Anthony, I'll go to you with this one. The midfield issue would almost be solved, at least in my view, where our current depth is defensive mid Fabinho with James Milner as his immediate backup. Right
And
center
Henderson.
mid. But I have Henderson as the starting right side at 8 in this Klopp version of it. Henderson starting right side at 8, Keita as his backup. Thiago left side at 8 with Curtis Jones as his immediate backup, based on just wait if you have no overlap. If you bumped those two right-sided 8s and you put Keita as the backup for Thiago and Henderson as the backup for Fabinho and signed a right-sided 8, and then it maybe even stuck Harvey Elliott as that backup, that's all of a sudden really good depth in the midfield, at least in my view, where it's not like we need a revolutionary signing in the midfield. Even, I don't know if Matheus Nunes could come in and start. It'd be a big ask of him. But Anthony, is it beyond just one player? That's kind of where I stand. Is it beyond one player to kind of fix those things?
Yeah, I think we needed to going into the next season. I think I said it when we lost the final. Anyway, we needed two signings in the midfield, and a defensive midfielder would be nice because I think I do like Fabinho, but I think his performances have dropped off, especially last season. I don't think he was particularly great. And the right side of midfield is for everyone to see. Like, it's obvious we need one, but I don't think we're going to be we're going to really miss a midfielder in the next 6 weeks with Thiago gone. But I think even before Thiago was injured, it was clear we needed one just to sort of rotate and keep them fit anyway. That's how we coped last season. I know you touch on Keita being injured for the majority of the part, but last season he was fit because he was actually able to rotate with Henderson, he could rotate with Elliott. Obviously, Elliott didn't play often, but Jones, Thiago could rotate with these players, whereas that's what you need. And Man City do it so well. They're Gundogan, Bernardo Silva, Rodri, De Bruyne. They can rotate between these players, and they don't really lose much quality. And that's the only issue with our midfield. We lose so much quality from Thiago and Keita up until it'll be Milner and Henderson. And I think that's what cost us matches, and eventually it'll cost us a league title, which it has done in the past couple of seasons.
At the end of the day, if we don't sign a midfielder, I won't be crying end of the world. I don't think it would be the end of the world. But it is almost a pretty decent warning sign that the world is shoving on us with Thiago picking up that injury, and it's only 6 weeks. Thankfully, it feels like this is our warning sign to go in and get someone. Otherwise, as soon as September 1st hits, one of those starting 3 are going to pick up like a 9-month ligament injury or something, and that'll be the universe punishing us for not recognizing the signs.